Making music that engages your listener and stands out from the pack is essential, but it's no easy task. So today I'm going to give you 4 simple tips that you can use to elevate the melodic sounds in your tracks to the next level. Hey guys, Dilby here. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about the synths in your track and elevating your melodic elements to the next level. Whether it's through listening to demos and promos, mentoring sessions I do with people, track feedback sessions I do with people, the track feedbacks that I do on YouTube. The point is I hear a lot of music and I see a lot of people having the same problems along the way. Something that I find is really common is that people are kind of making cool tracks with cool elements, but stopping one step short of taking those elements to the next level. It doesn't need to be difficult. You don't need to be a classically trained musician, a sound design expert, or an experienced producer even, to take your elements to the next level. But you do need to keep that in your mind and do it intentionally. If you like the track that's playing at the moment, it's a new remix I've done and it's out now. There's a link in the description to Beatport and Spotify if you want to go and support that. Much appreciated. Also, if you want to download the project files for this video, there's a link in the description which goes to Patreon. It's one of the best ways that you can support the channel. And it's get into Ableton and take these synths to the next level. Alright, so here we are inside Ableton, and this is a little beat that I put together to demonstrate how we can make some more kind of big, engaging, unique synths for our track. You know, you can make like a really cool track that just, everything's there, everything's kind of right, but there's nothing that kind of stands out. And it's those standout things that help people to connect and help to make your track memorable and kind of stand out from the pack. So listen to what we've got. Okay, so cool enough, there's a nice vocal, simple beat, you know, it's a good starting point. But let's say this is our track, and it's, in my opinion, it's kind of nothing special. But there's some things that we can do to kind of elevate it quite easily. So let's get into that. I'll just show you quickly through. We've got a kick, claps, hats, I think there's a top loop in there as well. Percussion loop, bass, synths, the vocal you heard,
and that was the night with that,
and then a few little effects things. So all good. A lot of this stuff, including like the bass sound, is coming from my sample pack, Underground House. There's a link in the description if you want to go and check that out. New pack is underway too. Should be out soon. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is look at this synth, because that's kind of like one of the main elements, all right? So to create this, all I've done is basically taken the MIDI from the bass line, which looks like this. Very simple. We're in the key of E minor. It's just looping over one bar. And then if I grab both of these, you can see them on top of one another. Maybe for the sake of this, I'll put this down an octave. Now we can see that pretty much playing the same thing, you know, close enough. They're interacting well together. Good stuff with the kick. So that provides like a really solid kind of backbone for the track melodically, but it's not that interesting, and this is quite a main element of the track. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is basically sound design. You know, what we've got here is a very simple sound, and it's pretty easy to elevate this. I'll just show you through the sound we've got. It's 2 saw waves here in Vital, just using the initialized preset. The first one is tuned down 12 semitones, so it's just playing over 2 octaves. And then we've got a little bit of filter automation. We're making it kind of plucky using the amplification envelope and then this very short plucky filter envelope. So that's a pretty simple patch, right? We've got a little bit of chorus, some delay, and I'm just using Kickstart to sidechain it. But you could do that either with a sidechain compressor coming from the kick, or with LFO tool, or whichever sidechain device you prefer. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this, and I'll turn off the first one. I'll rename this as New Synth, and we'll go back to Vital, open it up. Now I have pre-made a preset, but I'm going to show you through it. Okay, so just remember this one. The preset that I've pre-made is based exactly off this. It's just kind of taking it to the next level. Okay, so we've got two oscillators here, both saw waves. They're playing like at the octave and then down an octave. So this one, big saw pluck. Cool. So what have I done? Well, first let's take a listen to it. The original. So they're like the same thing essentially. The second one is just way better. Right. So what makes it better? Okay, so first of all, I've tuned everything down an octave. Then I've added a third oscillator with this, which is tuned down 5 semitones, making this essentially the combination of these two into a power chord, because this is playing the 7th from the root note. You don't really need to know the music theory. Basically, if you tune one of the oscillators +7 or -5, it's generally going to sound good. It's just a very pleasing sound to the ear and works really well for this kind of deep house techno music. Okay, I've added in a white noise oscillator. So let's hear it as we go through. Right, we add the next oscillator. We add the white noise. See, that gives it this little bit of aggression, right? So the filtering and everything is still the same. Now I've added this random, okay? So what this is doing is using a kind of random LFO, if you will, and I'm sending little bits of the signal to the oscillator panning of oscillator 2, to the oscillator panning of oscillator 3. So they're randomly moving just ever so slightly in the panorama. I'm sending a little bit of random to the filter cutoff. I'm sending a little bit of random to the level of oscillator 1, to the level of oscillator 2, and the level of oscillator 3. So basically, every time the synth plays, it's going to sound slightly different, which gives us like a more engaging feeling, right? Some pretty simple sound design. You know, this is almost exactly the same as it was before. We've gone from this to this. Okay, that is a step up if you ask me. Now another way that you can make something quite interesting, something that's pretty plain. Let's take this synth, for example, in the bass. It's just using a one-shot sound from my sample pack. It's a good sound. I've used it in lots of tracks actually. It's a nice subby tone with like a bit of character, but not too much kind of tonality that, you know, some good amount of musicality and things can live on top of it. Really heavy low end as well. So what I've done to make this more interesting is chosen this top loop, which if we look at how the synth is playing, right? This top loop actually has some similar notes. These percussive hits here are hitting a tone of E. So that's kind of layering with the sub and interacting with it in the same way that this synth was. It's actually the E notes in the percussion are playing this pattern. With the kick, for some context, without the percussion, so it's like reinforcing what's going on already. And then when we add the synth, so this is like only a couple of elements, but they're all working together in unison. So it sounds like there's more going on. They're all kind of working in the same direction of the track. So it really kind of builds up and makes it more than the sum of its parts. Then when we combine that with the new sound design, we've got this really strong groove and this really strong foundation for the track. So layering, but being specific about layering, choosing why to layer is really, really helpful as well. So there's number 2, layering. So number 3 is going to be the pattern. So we've got this synth on the drop. This is also coming from Vital. If you don't use Vital, you should. It's a free synth, so download this. It's really good. It's a kind of free alternative to Serum, if you like, which is one of the most popular synths. Okay, so this is what it sounds like. It's kind of like a brass bass type stab happening at the drop. It's good. This is something that is really commonly used in modern house music, modern techno music. It helps to emphasize that drop. It adds some drama. You know, the sound isn't crazy, it's just a preset from Vital, but it kind of works. It's doing a job there, but it's a little bit vanilla. It's a bit bland, right? That's not to say that the sound is no good. I chose the sound because I think it's cool, but the pattern is kind of the thing that's letting us down. So I've prepared a couple of other options. Option 1, option 2. Let's just drop these here. So we've got our kind of standard held synth note. All right, like a brass stab. Cool, but not that cool. So option 1, I'm basically playing some 16th notes. I'm just going up to the G, down to the D, down to the B. So there's going to be quite a pleasing pattern, and it's going to be a little bit more interesting. Make a bit more use of this sound. See, that's a bit more memorable, right? What I can do is duplicate this. We'll put this one back, and we'll call this new drop synth so that we can compare one to the other. So before and after. So I mean, this is not some kind of crazy pattern. You know, this is not something that you need to be a composer to make. This is just, I've just taken notes in the scale, moved around the root note, made a pretty simple pattern. You know, you could start from this pattern, just playing 16ths. Interesting enough, but let's make it a little bit more interesting. It's cool, and it really emphasizes that aggressive sound from the patch that we're using. So let's try this other option that I've got here. So I'm again using 16th notes. Let me zoom this out. And we're just using the root note over different octaves. This is something that I've done in a bunch of different tracks, and it just works really well. It's like simple, but it creates something quite unique sounding. So at the drop, add on some reverb and some delay or something. And there you've got like a signature sound for your track, as opposed to, you know, I know which one I think is more memorable. So there's two simple options. You know, there's a million possibilities that you could do for this, but the point is just to do something a little step further than the basic or the vanilla. So the fourth one is going to be sound selection. And basically what we're trying to do with this is, you know, in the sound design example, we were taking something that was initially quite plain and adding a bit more texture, taking it one step further. With this, looking at this pluck, we're going to basically just choose a different sound that has more contrast to the other sounds that are in there. You know, in and of itself, the sound here is not bad at all. It's a cool sound. It's something that I would definitely use in a track, but it's definitely not standing out against this. It's kind of lost, even with the original sound. So to find something better, I'm just going to duplicate that, turn off the original, call this one, you guessed it, new pluck. And this is also from Underground Shades of House. There's some cool sounds in there, and there will be even more cool sounds in the new one. All we're going to do is listen to some sounds in context. All right, coolish sound, but not really working. We're looking for something that kind of stands out from the rest of what's there. So let's go hot swap and like, I don't know if I'd choose that sound as it is from the sample pack, but in context with the track, it stands out. If we compare that to the first one, you could potentially layer them, but this new one overpowers it because there's more space in the track. It's occupying different parts of the frequency spectrum than the original pluck. We could go through a bunch of different sounds and find something else, but we found something pretty quickly that works. And it doesn't have to be an amazing sound, it just has to be an amazing sound in the context of the track. So there you go, there's 4 ideas about how you can elevate the sounds in your track very simply. We've got sound design, we've got layering, We've got more interesting patterns or melodies. And we've got simple sound selection. If you enjoyed this and you want to download the project so you can get in there and check it out, you know, maybe you want to use this vital sound in one of your projects or something, then you can do so from the link in the description. It goes to Patreon. It's a great way to support the channel. There's loads of projects over there, so get in and enjoy that. There you go, guys. Simple but effective, right? Let us know in the comments if you've got any hot tips to share with the community. And if you're looking for something to watch next, then check out this. I think you're going to like it. Well, that's it from me today. We'll catch you next time. Peace.